God gave me the understanding of how Nigerian nation works. Nigeria is one country but different nation. Anybody that says Nigeria is a nation missed it. Nigeria is not a nation. It's a country, all right. We can live together, but on an agreeable term. Oh, don't let me go there. The most pitiable tribe is the Igbo nation. Igbo nation is to be mostly pitied. I am not a fan of Nnamdi Kanu, but he has reason to become the leader of his people. Let Biafra be. Let them live their life. Let Yoruba live their life. Let Hausa live their life. Let Fulani live their life. Let's come on the top and just have a union. But to subject all other tribes under one tribe, no. Somebody say no. No. Say Donald Trump, come. Say, save us. We are almost being driven to extinction. Christians are an endangered species in Nigeria. The plan is on. They are everywhere. All this kidnapping, all this bandit, you think their powers are behind it. I don't know how the president will do it. I know he's a very courageous man. I know our president Bola Tinubu, is a very courageous man. He's an experienced politician. But I don't know how he will confront this, because the power behind this genocide, the power behind this banditry, the power behind Boko Haram, the power behind kidnapping, the power, those of us in Lagos and South, we don't know what's going on. Not where it's a totally different country. It's an Islamic republic. There is no, in all the 12 key Sharia states in the north, there is no church that can be given CFO to build. It's a haram. You can't. Is that one country? No, go and find out. Go and carry out all research. You can never. Church to them is an anathema. Anyway, I'm not going that direction.
With the recent attack, an ambush against the military personnel that on a mission on Friday night in Borno State, where the Boko Haram or the Islamic State of West African province launched a successful ambush against the Nigerian military. This were not enough. We have seen cases where there are coordinated attacks simultaneously happening almost the same time in different regions. Niger was also attacked, where it was recorded about 16 to 20 vigilantes, local vigilantes, were killed. An uncountable number of residents were whisked away or abducted. That is very unfortunate. We've seen where the locals are lamenting that despite the peace deal in Katsina, the terrorists are still demanding for the men to send their women or to send their daughters as compensation for sex and marriage. You can imagine forceful marriages is going on. That is the worsening state of insecurity. If you want to live, if you want us to protect you, give us your wife, give us your daughters. Wow, this is happening to Nigerian citizens within the defined territory known as Nigeria. Look at how they are cruising, they are flexing. I mean, it was a free for all. It was a no man's land. They are totally in charge. In a country that is committed to fight terrorism, to fight insurgency. Wow, that is quite interesting. Who would have believed that this will be the state of Nigeria 2025? That simply means it is no longer from the point of weakness, but from the point of strength. They are demonstrating dominance and control over this territory. And the locals are helpless. They could no longer defend themselves. The Nigerian military they trusted has been overwhelmed and overpowered with the current realities. You cannot tell me in a sovereign state you are negotiating with a terrorist. Terrorists who, of course, their missions are well defined, overrunning communities, subduing Nigerian indigenous communities, taking over their ancestral homes. Obviously, you look at the report of the former head to Buhari, Lalong, what he said, over 64 communities, 64 communities has been overrun, forcefully replaced by the terrorists. That what is going on in Plateau was pure genocide. They forcefully invade those communities, annihilate them, kill as much as they could. Those who survived, of course, the bullets and the machete of the wounds of machetes, eventually they fled for their lives and never came back. These communities have been taken over forcefully. They kill, they reoccupy, they take over the territories. And look at how the locals, the communities are celebrating these people who have constituted nuisance, who have disrupted their economic and societal life, who has turned them to the state of barbarism and the rest of it. How could terrorists be demanding, give me your wife, bring your wife or your daughter as a compensation to spare your life, for your safety to be guaranteed? What a hell is this? What a hell. Well, the locals have no choice but to accept the coexistence as the only way to strike a deal that these people will protect them and will not attack them. But of course, with stringent conditions. A hard one for that matter. You have to make a very heavy sacrifices. Give us your daughters. Your wives is welcome. They are the states of vulnerability. That is the worst situation and dehumanizing condition any citizen could be subjected to in his or her own country. So what are we saying? If the militaries are not safe, who else could be safe? You saw the video that went viral where they beheaded one of, who knows who they beheaded. They cut the legs and they were demonstrating, cut the private parts of a male. They were just showing it. It's just that YouTube will not accept such gory videos. I believe that most of us have seen this going on. They beheaded the person, they butchered the person. In fact, butchered. Some people were cutting the flesh, the internal organs, intestine, and were eating. Wow. This is cannibalism. To the level, to the highest demonic level. The question is, who is safe? Look at the rifles, the sophisticated weapons at their disposal. You hardly could see military or having such lethal weapons. So how do you expect the military not to collapse before this dead devils? With a machine with the lethal sophisticated weapons at their disposal. And some people say that Nigeria is not at war. What greater war could be worse than this? That Nigerian citizens are asked to give their wives, their daughters for some sex exploitation, to be spent, to live, or to move about. That is total collapse of the system. And this is happening under a government we call a sovereign state. Or does it mean that the life of these ones does not matter? That is a total collapse of the security, national security. You can imagine America begging, look at what Israel did to Hamas, that the sovereign state should be brought to its knees, begging and striking a peace deal from the point of weakness. Nigeria is gone. But sadly, where else do you call Nigeria? If the Katsinas and Borno State and every other regions of this country could be captured in such a way where the citizens are being taxed, are being levied, before they could exercise their liberty of movement and existence. And you have a government and another government is suppressing the supposed citizens. And so people are living in denial, where it is clear that you are running a permanent government. Look at what happened in Borno State. Rather unfortunate that these soldiers lost their lives in such incidents. It is not the first time. They have threatened the Nigerian military to vacate the region, and you think that was a joke. This recent attack reveals everything you needed to know. That they have declared those territory an Islamic territory, an Islamic caliphate, hosted their flags, making laws, giving laws. Founded on the principle of Sharia, taxing the Nigerian people, population, Nigerian citizens. And the government is there folding heads. Unfortunately, for those military who went, possibly they wanted to see if they could ambush the people, but the hunter eventually was hunted. That is a sad development. Nobody would be happy losing the defense of the nation. That's why I said it is high time to rediscuss the continued existence of Nigeria, because it's worthless, it's needless losing these lives. For crying loud, these combatant men, these soldiers, military men are from families. They have children, they have wives, they have responsibilities to take care of their families. The fact that they decide to enroll in the military does not suggest they needed to be sacrificed at the altar of sacrifice and the rest of them. Some people might say they signed to die. No, they signed to live to protect the country, because if they die, the mission is not accomplished. Now they are losing their strength, numerical strength, and the rest of them. Nigerian military is deficit of combatant men. The better ideology is that they decide to defend the territorial integrity of Nigeria. They must live to accomplish that. But why is it that the military are being ambushed? Are there not surveillance? Within the terror, I saw the place. It was almost a desert. If there's any surveillance, area surveillance, such people could be picked, their activities could be monitored. So why is it pretty difficult to do that? To safeguard the life of the military personnel. When they said these people were ambushed, I hardly could fathom what exactly is happening within those terrain. See how they butcher the human being. They dissected all the private, all the parts, both the kidney, the organs. They have possibly exchanged that for money. Organ harvesting and the rest of them is predominant. These are how lives are being wasted. And when the Americans said, we want to take out these terrorists, so people begin to lament. Say, no, we don't want you, don't come. Look at the statement of Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence. He said, people are only concerned about the Christians. Are they not aware that Muslims as well are being killed by these criminals? So is there any justification with due respect of the killings of Muslims or that of Christians? What should be the basis of our emphasis and argument? Whether it's Christian or Muslims are being killed, are they not human beings? Is there any law that guarantees? Is there any law that warrants the actions, the dastard actions of these hooligans, of the demonic entities? They are not just criminals. They are demonic entities for the pits of hell. I'm just of recent hearing the statement or reactions of the Sultan of Sokoto and some prominent northern clerics and the rest of it. But while all these atrocities are going on, everybody was moved, was reserved. When killings and killings and killings, when they began with the bombing of church, destruction and burning down of church, targeting Christian populated communities, overall, just like Jos, over 64 communities have been forcefully acquired, renamed. They forcefully pushed the indigenous community, the owners of this land. They invaded. It was a deliberate, systematic attempt to wipe them off and to take over the territory, to occupy the territory. And the government is aware of all these things happening, under their watch, under their supervision. What decisive actions have they taken? They knew that most Nigerian indigenous communities had been displaced. By who? And you have a sovereign, as a sovereign state, you claim to be a sovereign state, you have your military and security defense force and the rest of it. You have not done anything about that to chase out those assailants and illegal occupants so that the indigenous communities who fled, the surviving ones, might return to their ancestral homes and resume their societal and communal lives. So what is that decisiveness? What is that sincerity on the part of the government? And when one of the senators said the national security has collapsed, we don't continue to live in denial. The government of the day should accept the reality that Nigeria is becoming a failed state. If not a failed state, with the current reality, you can imagine. With such audacity, the terrorists are displaying such rascalities, shooting sporadically. I mean, it was a celebration. The talk of the day. And some people are keeping quiet. This is what they want to replicate in every other region within the country. They want to turn Nigeria to Afghanistan, to Yemen, and the rest of them. And some people are watching. You think they are not succeeding. Of course, their base and search has been spread across the forest bed in the southern region. Look at what is happening in Kwara State, Edo North, Auchi, and the rest of them, Ishan, they are not safe. Kogi West and the rest of them have been rounded up. So what are we saying? And these people are being sponsored by powerful individuals and international foreign external backups. They have well-profound, robust network, both within and external, backing them up. The government are aware of these details. My pain is that some Christian leaders are living in the denial why they are seeing the impunity in Trump, how people have been massacred. I mean, these are indigenous communities. Children are not being spared either. Children are not being spared. You think if they ravage communities and the rest of them, and the invading communities, they are taking the daughters and the women for sex exploitation. Wow. Taking the citizens captive within the defined territory as Nigeria. Now, what is left to be called Nigeria? If you're watching me for the first time, kindly like and subscribe to this channel. Turn on the notification button so that you can get our videos anytime it's being uploaded. Let me know, what is that Nigeria that is left with all these current realities unfolding before our eyes? What else could we call Nigeria? This is a moment of complacency. It's a moment of decision. We all live to speak the truth and to make a very decisive and urgent decision about this country. It is just about the survival of the indigenous communities, of the ethnic nationalities that are at the risk of extinction, that are at the verge of extinction. It's not unfortunate. Look at what Daniel Lalong said. What is going on is pure genocide against the people of Plateau. They have taken over their lands, succeeded in overrunning the communities. Some were paid, heavily paid, to wipe off the indigenous communities. The revelation was made recently. We saw the video. They were contracted to annihilate both Taraba and I think Benue, Nasarawa, and the rest of them, Plateau and the rest of them. Certain vested interests within the corridor of power, and by virtue of the collaboration, external collaboration and funding, they are doing all these things, and the government is folding hands, giving the same propagandas, while the masses are being slaughtered by the day, including security operatives. That is the worst of it. When the security operatives are endangered, the entire country, of course, is on the path of total collapse. Let's have your own take regarding this development. It's rather unfortunate, but these are realities we could no longer deny. What do we do with this situation? How do we remedy this situation? A member of the Senate at the plenary insisted it is time to invite America and seek for American military support because the national security has collapsed. What is your take with this? Tinubu can no longer handle this. It is beyond his scope to contend with. It's so unfortunate.